have Senator Uzamere and Senator Aloysius Etuk. We have them here with us. From Cross River, the Deputy Governor, Barrister Efio Kobum, Chief Anthony Ani, the former Federal Minister of Finance, General Tony Ukpo, Chief Matthias Ofoboche, the former governor. General Tony Ukpo, you recall, had been governor of a number of our states, including Rivers State. Senator Basi Otu is here. Senator Musa Adede, General Moses Obi, General Basi Asukwo, Colonel Pam Oga, the Speaker, Cross River State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Larry Ode. Senator Florence Sita, I've already called her. Professor Mrs. Stella Ato, Colonel Tony Inyam, Colonel Edward Obi, Honorable Nkoyo Toyo, Honorable Basi Ewa, Ntufam John Owan Eno. There's also Honorable Dan Asukwo, Ntufam John Okon, and Chief Asukwo Ekpeyo. From River State, the Eze of Ogbaland, our very distinguished Sir Dr. Chukwumela Nam Obi II.
Or should I say the Southern Leaders Summit
is also here
at Tinapa in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Very fantastic resort, but of course the focus is on the issue here. And indeed, so many issues have been discussed. The theme of this event is the centenary and the imperative for a national conference. And we also had a lecture delivered by two keynote speakers, Professor Godwin Dara and Professor Olufemi Mimiko. Well then, talking about Mimiko, I have here with me one of the conveners of this summit, the executive governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko. Well, Dr. Mimiko, you said very few words during the goodwill messages and opening remarks, but what we need to find out from you today is, after all said and done, what exactly do the leaders or the conveners of this conference hope that the participants will take away with them, the most important lesson for them here?
Thank you. What is most important is try to identify areas where we can generate consensus. You see, when you go to a national conference, many issues get thrown up. Those that are fundamental and important, those that are not too important. Now, if you don't distill this, even those issues that are ancillary to the central issues can take life of their own. So this is supposed to be an opportunity to distill matters that matter to southern Nigeria, so that we can focus on what is achievable, what I call the irreducible minimum that we can take away from that conference. And I tell you that this confab is another watershed in the process of evolution of an ideal nation. It is not going to end all conferences. But within those 3 months, what can we take out that is fundamental to our yearnings, that will ensure that we get out of the conference with something to take home? That is the whole idea. Distill those matters on which there are consensus and put them in the front burner at the confab.
Divisive factor.
Those lectures presented are the individual opinion of each presenter. That is not the opinion of this conference, Southern Nigeria. What will come out to be the opinion, the aggregate opinion here, will be what will come out in our communique. These at best are issues that will be brought in at the interactive session. But I tell you, those are individual opinion of the presenters. Wait, at the end of the communique, what will come out will be the aggregate of the corporate position of Southern Nigeria. And that will be what we will take to the national confab as our irreducible minimum. Thank you very much.
Was the executive governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, who also happens to be one of the conveners of the Southern Leaders Summit. Remember, it's the Southern Leaders Summit, and it's an aggregate of leaders from the South-South, the Southwest, the Southeast, and, well, it is the Southern leaders. And right now I'm being joined by one of the key stakeholders here too, the executive governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Governor Godswill Akpabio. Thanks so much for joining us live on Channels Television.
Thank you for having me.
One of the issues raised in this gathering is the issue of resource control, resource distribution, and indeed, one of your state is one of the key contributors to the resources that oil the wheels of this nation's economy. But then, the rest of the South might not have that same privilege, the rest of the South actually. So, in your interactive session, which is not going to be open to the public, how are you going to harmonize this issue of inequities in the contribution to the nation's economy?
Well, you know, it is not by choice that you belong to where you belong to. It is God's providence. So, and what I believe strongly is that we must be our brother's keepers. It's not so much the issue of resource control as having resource participation. What the people of the South Niger Delta would like to see is more participation in the exploitation and exploration of their resources, because it will help them to create employment opportunities and all that. And so even if the federal government wants to say that 80%, 83%, 85% of the resources that are accrued to states should be paid tax or as a subvention to the federal government, but that the states that produce those resources should have more control. That will still be allowed. We believe strongly that we must carry all parts and all sections of the country along in whatever we are doing, because resources are not evenly distributed as of now. But so long as God has kept us together as a nation, we must ensure that no part of this country is deprived, and no Nigerian child is allowed to go hungry, and no part of the country is allowed not to go to school and lacks education. So I believe strongly that equitable distribution of resources is important. But what is most important also is that the region that produces any resource should be allowed a bit of participation. It's very important, and that's what people are talking about, resource control. It is not that they want to control the resources, own the resources, and then use the resources for themselves. No, they want to be part and parcel of the exploitation and exploration of those resources so that they can create employment opportunities for their children. What is happening today is total neglect, and the regions are totally forgotten. The areas are forgotten, and companies fly in and fly out. Contracts come in and go out, and then the citizens are just impoverished while they are suffering from the ecological disaster occasioned by the exploitation and exploration of resources. And I can tell you, if you were here to see the acid rain that comes here, if you were here to see the devastation of the environment, if you are here to see the kind of ailments, cancer, and the cancer of the throat, and other things associated with gas flaring and all that, if you were here to see the number of people that die from terminal diseases, you have pity on the people of the region. And I think that if they were part and parcel of those working, they will be in a position to ensure the best practices that will ensure environmental protection at the end of the day. So I will align myself with the majority decision of Nigerians on what they want to do in order to have a better federation. But I think just the issue of resources and the control or otherwise is one of those things that must come up in the national political confab. And at the end of the day, it is what Nigerians decide that I will go with. But I will advocate that at the end, let us try to ensure that any region, any state, any local government, any locality that produces resources that will be complementary to the well-being of Nigeria is allowed a bit of participatory role. That is very key, and that is important.
Thank you much, Governor Akpabio. Thank you very, very much. I've been speaking with the governor of the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Dr. Godswill Akpabio. Well, Many governors of the southern states are here represented, and we spoke with Dr. Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo State a few minutes later, and of course we also have Dr. Godswill Akpabio. Well, it is the